This is extremely important. This is something what we need to create, not only for the past, what Russian did, but also to the future. Because all of us, we know that there is a threat, the threat for Moldavia, the threat for the Baltic states. And I strongly support, we have this document, we have this project, excluding the athletes and officials of the Russian Federation and Belarus from participating in international Olympic movement. I don't know if you recall what happened just before aggression. The Olympic Games in China lasted to the 20th of February. And this is quite well known that Russia was asked not to attack because of the Olympic Games, which is in our culture, and we have here eminent person from Greece who can witness what is for the European tradition this period of peace when you have Olympic Games. So I urge you, I'm asking you to be very firm to the Russian and Belarusian athletes. They should be banned from Olympic Games.
Alexander, could you
Yes, I'm finishing. If we want really to keep our tradition, probably the longest tradition in our culture, the Greek tradition, we should not allow them, when attacking and killing people, to participate in the Olympic Games. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. Next in the debate, I call on behalf of the group of European Conservatives, John Howell, United Kingdom. John, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no Churchillian cigar, and I shall stay in my seat to give my speech. I'm very pleased to participate in this debate. And I'm pleased to participate because after being in the UK Parliament for 15 years, this is the first time that anyone has recognized the work that I have done in Central and Eastern Europe and in the former Soviet Union. There are two things that I wish to comment on first. The first one is a disappointment with Russia. I'm not surprised by Putin. It is what we all expected. But I am surprised by the large number of Russians who support the Putin war in Ukraine. I have been involved with Russia for over 30 years now, promoting democracy and promoting a market economy under many different leaders. And I hoped that we were getting somewhere with that. But all of that has been destroyed by the actions of Putin. But if my disappointment with what has happened in Russia is transparent, I want it to be matched by the pride that I feel about the actions that we are all taking in Ukraine. That we are all taking in Ukraine. And I would like to pay tribute too to the courage that has been shown by the people of Ukraine, and I would too like to pay tribute to the many people there who have died. In the last session, we heard an amazing speech from the Secretary General, and I mean this as no criticism of her, but as an indication of how we have moved on quite a lot in our own thinking. She would never have been able to give that speech in the Council of Europe in the past year. It was just out of this world, and I fully endorse it and fully support it. If you recall, a year ago, it was all about, oh no, we cannot do anything. We are not a defense organization. That has now stopped. And she is now looking at ways of which we can lead. And we've heard some of these before. We have heard this morning about the work on the register, and what I would say on that, and my question this morning was genuinely meant, we need to make sure that it is got right before we implement it. And the sooner we can do that, the better. At the last plenary session, we had a paper that was passed unanimously by the plenary session dealing with environmental damage in times of armed conflict. That recommended that we look at whether it was possible to have a new convention or treaty to be able to deal with that. We need progress too on that to show that we are taking the lead on that. And if I think to the work that has been going on and the arguments that have been going on about a special tribunal in which to hold the Russians to account, I am absolutely devastated that we are still talking about it rather than taking action about it. We have a lot to overcome. We have a lot of propaganda from Russia to overcome. You may have seen this week that there was propaganda from Russia that this war started because Ukraine invaded Russia. What? Where did this come from? And what did we do to stop that? So there are many things that we should be doing and many things that we can be doing, and I am very pleased that the Secretary General has now come up to the mark and is supporting that.
Thank you very much, John. Next, I give the floor to Bjarne Johnsen on behalf of the Unified European Left. Bjarne, you have the floor.
Mr. President, colleagues, I want to start by telling you about the visit I made with more of our colleagues to Kyiv last week. It was an important and emotional visit for us, of course, and to witness what people are going through and just also being able to be around to show support to our colleagues there and Ukrainians. I just had to mention that especially, and like I said there, and I want to say here again, Ukraine can be so proud of the delegation in pace because they have really carried us along. They have brought the Assembly united behind Ukraine in support, and of course, like quick steps taken by our President and others. We are really, I'm really proud of this, and I felt so when I was in Ukraine, really proud of all of this that has been done. So I just want to say that here, and we met many great people, but we also witnessed many, of course, important meetings, but the most, for me, touching was just to be present there in the opening of the plenary in the Parliament on the morning of 24th of February, or being present at the memory wall, putting candles in the memory of fallen people with our people here and the Speaker of Rada. It was a very important moment as well. So I just want to go through this, and many things were said, and I remember I had the meeting with Minister of Defense that left with me one sentence that really still with me, like he said, we start wars with professional soldiers, but we finish them with teachers and their pupils. So that's where this war is headed now. So it was something to remember. Or we had the chance, some of us, to meet also with President Zelensky. It's quite also memorable meeting we had. And the first sentence I wrote down, I took a lot of notes at that meeting, as other meetings, and the first sentence I wrote down at the meeting was, it's here, we do not want to lose our country or sovereignty. That was the first sentence I wrote down from President Zelensky. And we, of course, support you all in that ongoing circle to get this back to like we want to have it. And there are many other things that I could say, but I think I just wanted to make this expression. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bjarni. Next in the debate, I call Yevgenia Kravchuk. Yevgenia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues. First of all, I want to say that I have a special connection to The Hague because I was my trip just one day before the full-scale invasion on the 24th of February of 2022. And I was on fact-finding mission for my resolution that we already voted about women in conflicts and peace reconciliations. And I was in ICC, I was in this tribunal for former Yugoslavia, and I returned to Kiev, I returned to Borispil with the last flight that landed in Borispil on the 23rd of February. That flight is still waiting somewhere, and I really hope that sometimes I will take a flight from Kiev to Amsterdam, just, maybe for vacation. And I thank you, Petra, for very warm welcome last time. I really appreciate that and remember that. Also, I came here straight from another international organization, another assembly, it's OCPA, and Ukrainian delegation was not taking part officially. We did not enter Hofburg in Vienna in Austria because Russians are still there. They're not, don't have any sanctions. And we had bilateral meetings, more than 20. And on every single meeting, I was saying, look at PACE, look at Council of Europe. It's the only organization that had guts to, to expel Russia, to show Russia a red card, because they are violating all the possible rules, all the possible statutes, and, they are violating common sense, our common sense and our common values. So I also, encourage you as heads of delegations to talk to your colleagues that had the delegations in OCPA to finally amend the rules and to have the possibility for the penalty box for Russian delegation, for the delegation of the country aggressor. It doesn't even matter what country, just the one country member state attacking another member state and violating all the rules and procedures. And also, as the head now of the Committee on Culture, Education, Media, and Science, I would like to draw your attention that cultural sphere is very, in Ukraine, is very in big need of support, or maybe support of your countries, of the organization as a whole, because Russia is ruining cultural sites, archaeological sites, the religious sites, and they do it deliberately. And also there is tangible and intangible. They are trying to steal our identity, to ruin our identity, to ruin our cultural identity. And I'm really thankful that we will have these debates on abduction of children. And what happened with these children? They are not allowed to speak Ukrainian. They are being sent to re-educational camps on the occupied territories. They changed the history lessons, the whole school program, saying that, no, you're not Ukrainians, forget it. You've always been Russians. We've always been one nation. They want to say that, Ukraine never existed, Ukrainians are not a nation. And that's what we are fighting for. We're fighting to be Ukrainians, to be a sovereign state. So I really encourage you to give some more help and some more focus to a cultural sphere, and will hold hearings about cultural sphere in Ukraine for committee meeting in Paris. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, dear Evgenia. Now I call in the debate Mr. Nikos Tornaritis. Nikos, you have the floor. Where is Nikos? We do not see Nikos, so then I give the floor to Emanuel Zingers and then Martin Wall. And I call everybody to stick to the 3 minutes, because otherwise we cannot have the debate finished in time. Emanuelis, you have the floor.
Thank you, dear Tini, dear Chairman. First of all, I would like to express my deepest sympathies to the head of the Turkish delegation for terrible 50,000 people lost in Turkey during the earthquake. That's terrible what happened, and you have our all support and sympathies and solidarity. Secondly, having yesterday, Despina, we saw on our TV screens, I would like to use my time, even Tini just told me to be 3 minutes, I would like to say to you that it was so shocking to see the victims of train crash in your country. So we are sharing our sympathies with you, not looking to the numbers, but important that the tragedy happened, and first time in Greece you have such a level of the tragedy probably through the decades. Thirdly, I would like to express to just what's mentioned to Maria Mezentsova, our huge thankfulness that part of Bernie mentioned, part of us visited a few days ago Kiev, and during the meeting we have broader, deeper understandings what happened. So, Maria, thank you so much being so instrumental during our visit. The fourth time, I would like to mention that Tini, our organization become unique. Look to the OSCE. Do they have unanimous vote? We have unanimous vote only in here, in Council of Europe Parliamentary Assembly, about our all resolutions. It was a resolution, future escalation in the Russian Federation aggression against Ukraine, unanimous. You have Damian, this was my resolution. Damian resolution, Kotia, unanimous. So all groups, first time probably after establishment of Council of Europe, and after that was consultative, the name of our Parliamentary Assembly was Consultative Assembly, was experience that after 5 years, I will be not mentioning, Tini, of our arguing after Crimea invasion, votes were divided extremely how we should behave, and Peter Tolstoy just met me in elevator saying, you still believe in Europe? I told him, you will see our solidarity, Peter. And he saw our solidarity during our reaction. So now it's a very simple question. What we will do in this fantastic summit in Reykjavik? How we can be one step ahead of Committee of Ministers, consulting them, saying to them what we are expecting from our side to have. So I think we should, today we heard about the register included from our Icelandic friends, and we have, of course, the very important key issue of the court. The court issue should be mentioned in the April session, like a special resolution, and we, having Damian analyzes with all points, we should include our resolution of what we are expecting from the level of the court, not looking that's very complicated, understand what is our head is, but we should finally recommend the solution for the court of aggression in Reykjavik. So from my point of view, I would like to say that PACE in April should call in this resolution on the heads of states and governments for upcoming summit to express our political support to establishment of international court and to have the agreement on the table, to have the agreement, but the large majority, if somebody will be not. I know that we are looking to United Nations, but we deserve having such strong unanimous voting and political will to recommend. And we just heard from a Dutch colleague just 20 minutes ago that they are likely inviting us to establish this unit here in The Hague. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manuelis. Next in the debate, I call Mr. Morten Wold. Morten, you have the floor.
Mr. President, Madam Secretary General, distinguished colleagues. I am representing the Norwegian delegation in this matter. 24th of February 2022 was a watershed moment for Europe and for the world. By its invasion of a peaceful neighboring country, the regime in Moscow violated not only the statute of the Council of Europe, but also the UN Charter and the rules-based international order. Putin expected that our resolve to support Ukraine would not hold, but he was wrong. Europe has strengthened its united support to Ukraine, and looking ahead, the Council of Europe should particularly take responsibility so that this European unity is maintained. It has been said many times before, and I can say it again, a united Europe is a stronger Europe. With its 46 member states and its unique platform for a pan-European dialogue, our organization holds a unique position in this regard. Norway has contributed extensively to the effort to support Ukraine. Last year, we provided 10.7 billion Norwegian kroner in civilian, humanitarian, and military support. And Norway is prepared to provide support in a long-term perspective. Mr. President, only 2 weeks ago, in the Norwegian Parliament, we adopted a 5-year support program for Ukraine, totaling 75 billion Norwegian kroner. It will provide approximately 15 billion Norwegian kroner annually in the period 2023 to 2027. In addition to military support, Norwegian funding will be used for humanitarian efforts in Ukraine and in neighboring countries, for repair of civilian infrastructure and for reconstruction efforts when this becomes possible. Our united support to Ukraine is vital, not only for the Ukrainian people, but also for the security of Norway, for Europe, in fact, for all of us present here today. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, dear Morten. Now I call on debate Madam Petra Stine. Petra, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm going to help you to save some time and set maybe a new president to just stay in our seats. I don't know whether you like that, because that will save some time. So thank you very much. I have a few observations. First of all, Yevgenia, I vividly remember the dinner we had together in Schlemmer. If you stay here in The Hague, I can recommend this restaurant. And every single time I have lunch or dinner now at this restaurant, I cherish this idea of normality. Exactly as Professor Oman said, it's the normality of going out for dinner with your friends and enjoying it. And I remember also vividly how you were watching your telephone every single, 2 minutes, because you were trying to be polite, but of course we understood. And seriously, I hope we will be able to share that normality with you and all of the members of the Ukrainian delegation in Ukraine. Let me also extend, on behalf of the Dutch delegation, our sympathy to Ahmed Yildiz for the horrible ordeal that the Turkish people and also the many Syrians who took refuge in your country, which we, I think, all should be grateful for, have suffered after the, 7 or 8 earthquakes now, because the aftershocks are amazing. And then I have to say something about the speech of Bob Dane.